Hey everybody, Jake here from Bearded Gear, and I am ready to do my first impressions on this bad boy. This is the Protech Magic Whiskers. This knife was loaned to me for a review by my buddy Kyle from DTOM Knives and Gear. If you haven't heard me say Kyle from DTOM Knives and Gear, then you haven't been around for long. But I've been gaining new subscribers pretty rapidly. So if you're not aware of Kyle, he will be linked down below. He's become one of my best friends in the knife community. I really appreciate him. He sends me gear pretty often. I send him gear pretty often. We review each other's stuff, and it's just been nice to have a buddy like him to throw gear at and to have gear thrown at me from. Anyways, thanks, Kyle. So this is... I've been on a bit of a Protech kick lately. I've reviewed several Protech knives within recent history, and I'm probably not done. I'm really enjoying Protech's knives quite a bit. I don't know why the camera's like focusing on a spot right up here, maybe just because the sun's coming down. Anyway, I've been on a Protech kick. I've been enjoying their knives. I just finished up my review on the Godson. I've got the SNG, the mirror polished freaking compound grind ridiculous one that I'm about ready to do my full review on. In fact, I might do that tonight if I've got time. And what else? I've done the Malibu, done the Mordax, the Calmigo. Been doing a lot of Protechs, and I really have been enjoying them. Sincerely, just loving the brand. And it's one of those things where I think a lot of people, when they're first kind of discovering knives, like the actual like hobby and world of knife collecting, Protech's probably not one of the brands that people are immediately aware of when they're coming into this hobby. They're probably aware of like Kershaw and maybe Zero Tolerance because of Kershaw, Benchmade and Spyderco. Protech is smaller production than a lot of those big companies, but they're just a fantastic US based, US made, really cool company. Everything I've seen of Dave, who is the owner of Protech, he seems like a really cool guy. I've actually got a buddy who works over there now, and they're a cool company. They're here in Southern California, which makes me like them even more. But they make automatic knives, so don't hold California against them because a lot of people are like, "Ooh, California." I've been getting comments lately of people just like, "You're too California for me. I can't keep watching." Whatever. Yeah. Anyways, this knife is one of their models that I've been most interested to check out for a while now. I handled one of these at California Custom Knife Show just for a second and thought it was really cool. I've watched a bunch of videos on them over the last couple of years. At a local knife store, I got to handle one of the ones that has the California legal blade in it. So imagine this knife, but instead of having this much blade, it's shortened to like freaking here. In my opinion, that's like the dumbest thing ever. I get why Protech makes it, because there's people in California who won't carry autos unless they're legal blade length requirements, and they still like this mechanism and this type of knife. For me, I feel like that's the... I don't like it. When it's that tiny, it's stupid to me. Anyways, other than handling them for like brief moments, each of those, I've never had one in pocket. I've never gotten to carry one. I've never gotten to cut with one. I've never gotten to just play with one long term. So I really appreciate Kyle sending this to me to check out. I know he was really excited to get this one. And frankly, this knife feels very Protech. Protech makes out the side autos predominantly, and Protechs have a certain feel about them, a certain snap, the way they come out. Their action just has a character to it. And this one has a lot of that, but it's radically different as well, because most of their out the side autos are push buttons. So there would be a button on the show scale right about here, and you'd press that button and boom, the blade deploys. This one is different. The reason why it's called the Magic Whiskers is because of this difference that I'm about to show you. So instead of a push button auto, this one is very, very sneaky. You literally take this bolster, see this part is kind of textured, and you slide it to the side, and that's what deploys the blade. So already, I've only had this knife in my possession for 2 days. I carried it for one whole day so far. I showed it to my wife, which showing her knives is different thing because she knows me. And so she's not as uninitiated as some, even though she's not into it. But I showed it to like my brother-in-law and my nephew. And when I handed it to my brother-in-law, I was like, here, check out this knife. Usually I hand him a knife, and the first thing he does is he opens it, right? And he could not figure it out, which I just love that. I think it's great to see. It's fun for me to hand somebody something that I know and they don't know. So then I showed him how it works, and boom, immediately he thinks it's amazing and really cool, and it's just different. And there's a lot of redundancy in the world of knives. There's a lot of thumb stud knives. There's a lot of finger hole knives, thumb hole knives. There's a lot of flipper knives. There's a lot of front flipper knives. There's a lot of push button knives. There's a lot of OTF knives. And this is something different. I love that about it. I love that it's something unique in the marketplace, which is very saturated with a lot of redundancy. And so I also like that with its uniqueness, there is still an inherent familiarity. It's not unique in a weird way. The way it opens is different, but it's still very functional. When I pull this knife out of my pocket and I go to deploy it, it's almost easier than a push button or some of the other deployment methods that I mentioned. Like, it really is intuitive and works great. It keeps your hand in a pretty good placement to go ahead and then just make a quick shuffle and use the knife. The grip feels great. I really like the ergos on this knife. It's a simple enough handle shape. It's got a little bit of a hump here in the middle, so you got 2 fingers that go in the front, 2 fingers that go in the back. You wrap them around, and it feels good in my hand. It feels intuitive. And a hammer grip, saber grip, also comfortable. Reverse grip, very, very good. Reverse grip, draw cut, good. Forward grip, draw cut. Like, they're all comfortable. This knife as a cutting instrument, forget the action, as the knife that it is, I find that I quite like the design. So it's cool that I'm not just getting a gimmicky opening method here, I'm also getting a knife that I like. That's really important to me because gimmicky knives are fun for a second. Like, maybe I enjoy a gimmicky knife for a couple of days, and then I'm over it. Because, like, I get it now. The gimmick is over. But this one, being different, makes it spicy. It takes it that little extra notch. But the fact that it's still a good knife underneath it all makes it something that I would actually enjoy owning and keeping long term and using over and over and just having as a knife. And so I like that. I kind of skipped over the ingredients list here. So in typical Protech fashion, we have aluminum scales. I think this bolster, the one that slides over, is aluminum as well, but I'm not positive actually. I just think it is. We've got a deep carry clip. This is actually their longer deep carry clip. I prefer the shorter ones just because I prefer shorter clips in general, but this one functions identically. It's got their clip style, which more people need to do this in the knife world. This is my favorite way to do a clip. First of all, it's a loop over deep carry clip that comes all the way to the butt of the knife. That's what a loop over deep carry clip should do. Secondly, they've machined the scale of the knife to the exact depth of the kind of bottom tang of the clip. So the clip nests into the scale of the knife so that it is flush. And then, that's not enough for Protech. They also countersink the screw holes and use flat head screws. So these little T6 screws for the clip are countersunk into the clip, which is countersunk into the knife. It's just perfectly flush. There's nothing sticking up there. There's nothing to snag as you're putting this in and out of your pocket. This is what a pocket clip should be. Again, I prefer this same clip but shorter, like the one that's on my Malibu. But that being said, this I got no qualms with this pocket clip. I just prefer the shorter one because it looks shorter in the pocket, and I feel like it's a little more comfortable in hand, although this one's not uncomfortable at all. Anyway, they do pocket clips right at Protech. We need to applaud them for that. The blade on this guy is 154 cm. That's Protech's most abundant steel. They use 154 cm on just about everything. In fact, it's usually the exception and not the rule when they use something else. Like the SBR is S35VN. The Malibu and the Mordax are 20 CV. And I don't know what else is not 154 cm. Just about everything comes in 154 cm from them. But they do their 154 cm well. 154 cm is a fine steel. I've said it before, I'll say it again, it's not my favorite. I would love it if it was a more enhanced steel. I like that my Malibu is 20 CV over 154 cm, but this is a total usable blade steel, and it's fairly easy to sharpen, and so I've got no issues there. Yeah, so really, if I were to look at this as a like button actuated side opening automatic from Protech, I feel like I would still like it. It might be a little bit vanilla for my personal tastes, just the overall shape and like design of it, if it was just a push button auto. But the fact that it's got this mechanism just, it excites me. And I want to reiterate, even if that wasn't there, as a knife, I still find this very functional. I like the way it fits in hand. That squirrel is moving like crazy up there. I keep thinking it's something coming down the canyon. Anyway, as a knife, it functions very, very well. The only cutting I've done with it so far has been very light, but I found that the edge is very sharp. As far as I know, this is still the factory edge. I don't think Kyle has resharpened this, but it's got a great edge on it. It's a decent grind. It's a flat grind, and it's not super thin behind the edge, if I'm being honest, but it's not overly thick either. I feel like it's a very passable EDC task thickness that's going to have a pretty good balanced performance, and so I like it. I like it quite a bit. I would not mind at all having one of these, just because I like different at this point with how many knives that I experience all the time, and even like showing it to non-knife people who don't have a lot of knives. People appreciate different. It's cool to see something that functions in an abnormal way, and that just makes this knife spicy to me. So those are my first impressions so far. Good ergos, good in pocket, good at cutting. It's fun to play with. It's different. That's about it. I'm going to figure out what's moving around over there and maybe throw a rock at a squirrel to get it to go away because I'm getting freaked out. Anyways, thanks for checking it out, and thanks to Kyle for sending it along. There will be a full review on this guy at the end of about a week with it. So far, like I said, I've only carried it for one whole day, realistically. So plenty more to come, and thanks for checking it out with me.